like if I was to pull out the phone, yeah, you believe that the phone is created.
Yeah.
You believe that the mic is created. You believe that the camera is created. You believe you're created. So if you look at how complex you are,
There has to be something beyond us.
yeah, so the point that I'm trying to say is to link back to the point that that thing needs to be intelligent as well. Yeah, I didn't go on a tangent. There has to be like a phone. The phone, no one sees this phone. No one sees this phone and goes, man, this was there for a long period of time and laws of nature created this, that. This phone has ROM. ROM is long-term memory. As a CPU, which is the brain. It has RAM, short-term memory. It has a display, which is like the eyes. It has a battery, like energy source, like food. We conclude someone made it. I don't know if you saw the unveiling of the Tesla robots. No one said, whoa, this happened over thousands of years. Inexplicable. Elon Musk came and said, I created it. Nah, it's not convincing. Bro, it looks designed. If it sounds like a duck, if it moves like a duck, if it looks like a duck, it's a duck. So similarly, human beings, when you look at us, we're complex. We have, like the phone, long-term memory, short-term memory, a brain. Yeah, we have eyes, display, similar to a display on a phone. We have an energy source, food, stomach, digestion. But yet we think, oh, you know what? I don't know how it happened. It just happened. No.
There's a reason.
There's a reason. We've been created. And you want to jump in there?
Also, the subject of consciousness. How can we think? That could be an example of God, you know, like how can we think and let's say like a dog cannot. Obviously a dog can think, but we are capable of doing many great things. Like there's a philosophical paper written by somebody called Thomas Nagel, who says that we don't know how bats think. In other words, as human beings, we will never know. Yeah? We will never know how bats think. So we will never know if that dog or that donkey, talking of donkey, or horse, we don't know how it means to be a horse. We do know how it means. You see why I use the word donkey? So the thing is that we don't know how it feels to be those creatures. Yeah, but those creatures are sentient. Those creatures display certain behaviors through which we conclude certain things. However, for us to even go into that realm, before we need to understand and fix our own home first, 100%.
Which is like this, like what are we doing here? So as a human being, my bro, when you look at our intricacy, the inference to the best explanation is if I look at this and how amazing it is, the heart beats and it continues beating for at least 70 years. We don't expect it to stop. But when you get a Toyota car, even though it's fantastic and brilliant, you don't expect it to work for 50, 60 years. You expect it to break down. So when it comes to every other form of creation, we expect it to have a short kind of span.
All points to God, man.
Sorry?
Yeah, all points to God, bro.
That's what I'm saying, bro, that it's all, people say there's no signs, but Ibn Taymiyyah was asked, one scholar was asked, like, prove that there is a God. And he let off a chuckle and he said, how are you asking me for proof when everything around you is proof of a God? Just looking at how a bird stays in flight. Look at how a bewick swan has the migratory instinct to go to certain places. Look how the snake is able to survive without legs, and how its sight isn't even that good, but just its mere faculty of tasting the air is able to, help its survival. How if you go in the depths of the oceans, you notice that it gets darker and darker. However, there are certain fish that have lights dangling off their heads. To say that it's chance, to say that it doesn't point towards a creator or a designer, when everything around us points towards a creator and a designer, I think it's doing a great injustice to God. And I think when certain people say that, you know what, it's not worth even speaking or we can't get to that, I think that further exacerbates the problem. Because the more we talk about what's around us and the design of the things that are around us, how the giraffe will have such a long neck, and how physiologically anytime the giraffe looks down, his head's supposed to just pop. But the blood pressure control system in the brain of a giraffe has been designed in such a way that we are able to witness a giraffe without it going crazy each time it bends down. You know what I mean? So, and similarly as human beings, bro, just marveling at us and at our cell. Every cell in your body is an entire city in itself, with a nucleus, yeah, with rough endoplasmic reticulum. They're like factories. Yeah, then you've got lysosomes there. Then you've got the cell membrane, which is like the border force that protects each cell, and each cell knows what to do. And
but I will speak in the context of, let's imagine I'm a scientist, okay? I will speak in this out. Let's imagine I'm a scientist, I'm telling you, but there's a reason the cells are built like this because of blah, 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 blah. How would you answer that? How would you
So
explain
scientists, because I've spoken to many and I've, been privy to a lot of their works, science can only explain the how,
how?
never the why. For example, you enter that room, that same kitchen, and there's a birthday cake. Sorry, not a birthday cake, that gives it away. There's a lasagna. You love lasagna, let's just say. And you invite your scientist friend and you say, come along, John, prove to me using science why that was made. He will get out his microscope and he will get out his chemicals and he will say it was an exothermic reaction and there's this chemical, that chemical. You say, John, you're telling me what it is. You're telling me how it was made. My question to you was, why was it made? Why is it there? They can try and try and try. They will never do so. Because science explains the how, not the why.
I understand.
Yeah? So similarly, when you see all of these things that happen around us, you asked about evolution and Big Bang, we say no problem. Evolution and Big Bang are mechanisms. They explain how things work. They don't explain why. God is a creator of mechanisms. We didn't say God is a mechanism. There is no conflict between religion and science. Yeah? The religion and science are talking and answering different questions. Like as Muslims, I can give you the history where when you get a chance when you go home, you can Google the scientific method. Ibn al-Haytham, according to a BBC article, was the creator of the scientific method. Yeah, even when you look at scientific inquiry, the first hospital, yeah, the first university, Fatima al-Fihri, the first solo flyer, Abbas ibn Firnas. We have no issues with science, but science doesn't go past the physical. And this is the problem with science. Like you went into consciousness. Consciousness is metaphysics. And this is a problem that science has, because if both of us, you and me, we watch a horror movie, we will both react in a different way. Our experience is not something that's physical. If you were to open our heads, you will not see and be able to explain why both of us view horror movies differently. That comes from the metaphysical consciousness. And that's, in science, is called the hard problem of consciousness. People are doing PhDs on this sort of stuff. Yeah? So that's the problem. When you give too much to science, then there are certain things that science will start saying, yeah, atom is indivisible. No, but you can divide it. Oh, there's certain DNA that we don't know. They arrogantly call it junk DNA. However, now we know that it switches on and off genes. So they're like, no, it's not junk DNA. Similar with consciousness. No, consciousness is not important. But bro, it's very important. Like you can't check this in scans. Can't open the head and see, aha, there's the horror movie there. Oh, that's the nightmare that he had on Elm Street or wherever it is. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying, bro, that coming back to originally to the point, this is why I concluded God has to be intelligent and he has to be wise. And a product of that wisdom is not for us or for God to create something and just leave it. For example, if I created something and I'm Elon Musk, I created something. Somebody asks me, why did you create this as Elon Musk? I go, sorry, Mr. Genius, you're gonna go to Mars and this. Why did you create this? What is it? Like why? Like what you got planning to do there? I told you. You know, the whole genius thing will start going down a notch each time he makes that weird noise.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So part of wisdom is creating something with a purpose. So if we believe that God is intelligent and as a result he's wise because of the complexity that we see in creation, that automatically assumes that he has to be wise, that's created us for a purpose. Yet creating things with no purpose is not befitting of a wise and intelligent being. That's why we say God is wise, he's intelligent, and I add that on to that. Now the next point would be, why has God, how will he bridge that gap without showing himself to us? If he just tells one person, that one person when he narrates it to somebody else can misquote it, he could die, he could become ill, we're all at the mercy of that individual. Books since day one, have been something that transcend communities, that transcend cultures. No matter how digitized things become, books will always be there. And that's something that, like a tablet, when you put it underground, it becomes fossilized. It's not guaranteed to work 2,000 years into the future. A book, you can still carbon date it and check it. So books logically make sense for a medium of God trying to reach out to us. Now the next question, Lucas, would be that there are so many different options. Which book logically is befitting of God? And I would tell you there are certain things that you and I can off the bat agree with straight away, which is that if a book claims to be from God, surely number one, there has to be a claim in the book that it's from God. You know what I mean? Like if I'm writing a book, I say, oh, this is a cookery book. So people say, okay, I say I've authored the book. Okay, so what is the book? What's the author of the book? And number three, Lucas, we have to be able to say that this book is the same book today that it was since the beginning of time. So if people are saying no, the book's changed, then it's not really from God, is it? Because it's a book of God and people now, not just of God. So this is what we say, Lucas. We say that the Quran, compared to the scriptures of the other faiths, Quran is the only one.
See, we're switching the conversation. I do not want to talk about which religion is true or which religion.
No problem.
Because that's when it turns into division, and that's what I don't want to do.
But don't you think it can only lead to division if a person sees it that way? I'll give you an example. Me presenting the case for Islam about why in certain fields, I would argue in all fields, it's ahead or it's superior compared to the criteria of other religions. That's something that can objectively be measured. Someone can disagree with that and we can have a conversation, we can shake hands and we can be on our ways. But just to merely evidence one stance, I don't think that causes division. In fact, the Quran tells us, tell the others, come to common terms between us and you, that we believe in none but Allah, and then it goes on. So in other words, we're told to engage in discussion and debate. When you're going to be like, you're 16, bro, when you're going to be in like friendships and inshallah, God willing, you get married, don't think of it like this, that just because you guys disagree on something, you shouldn't talk about it. That's called escapism. To come up with ideas and to really extract the juice of life, you have to be okay with pressing a few buttons, but do it respectfully. That's my advice to you, humble advice to you, because I'm somebody that obviously, these grey hairs, they didn't just turn grey under the sun. I come with experience, and certain people, you can disagree, but you can still be friends. So somebody don't feel that, no, this is going to cause division. I don't want to go into that. Be okay with that. But as long as it's done respectfully, that's the criteria that I would humbly suggest.
Thank you.
But is there any others? Because you had many other points.
I think I'll save him for another day.
Yeah.
I think.
What are your thoughts so far with what I've said? Do you want to push back on some things, or
I mean, I'm just here to learn, and what you've said is really like it's really like eye-opening. You know, like,
Yeah.
I've learned a lot. You know.
fantastic, bro?
Thank you.
As always, I'll try to be here Sundays. If you ever want to come and you want to progress in this conversation,
Of course.
I will just leave you with this final point, bro. That, like I said, the inference to the best explanation, the most probable logical cause is that we have been created. We haven't just been left here. We're not abandoned. As a result, we do have a moral compass which can be derived from a book that makes logical sense, that can be tested under scrutiny, that doesn't have contradictions, that doesn't have illogical presuppositions like books of other faiths. And we can evidence that. And if you ask me for evidence, I can present that evidence. And once you do that, you will attain and you will have more direction in life. Without that, you can be a good person, but without a map, it's very difficult for you to reach your destination. It's going to be a lot of trial and error. You're going to hurt yourself along the way. You might go veer off, get tired,
Yeah.
lose supplies. Islam provides a map. Makes it easier for you to reach your destination, and it helps you understand life and navigate through life. That's why I urge you, don't dismiss religion and these sorts of discussions. Don't think that it's unachievable. Nothing is unachievable. Yeah, if there is a God, He will have put breadcrumbs there for us to get to Him. He's not somebody that has just left us and made it impossible, because that's not an intelligent and a wise God. Certainly not a God that we believe in, that will just abandon us and leave us. Nuclear warfare, atom bombs being dropped, babies being killed, and it's difficult for us to get to Him.
Yeah.
Seems ridiculous. My friend,
Thank you.
Lucas, pleasure, my brother.
Thank you, my
Take it
friend.
easy.
Thank you.
Let me just take the mic, yeah?